need on a new day where the conditions have changed, the track and the air and the tune-up on the car, you really need first round for a tune-up run, just to make sure that you're in the ballpark. But sometimes you do have to go for it. But I'll tell you the truth, I'm not racing the guy in the next lane today. I'm racing my own lane, and I'm racing against the clocks, because if I can run fast, then they can't beat us.
Anxious seconds on the starting line take nerves of steel and intense concentration. The other driver red lights and is disqualified for starting too soon. Unaware, Force pilots his funny car to a guaranteed win at a speed that beats the competition to the finish, even though they had a head start. Waiting in the pit is the loyal Roy Mayhew, a high school buddy who sold John Force his first race car and now counts Austin Coyle among his friends as well.
Well, I'd say that Roy is probably one of the easiest going guys I've ever been around. I mean, he'll go along with the group kind of no matter what we want to do, as long as there's enough to eat in the program. Like if we get too busy and don't take time to go eat, he feels offended by that. But other than that, as long as there's enough cheeseburgers and a piece of chocolate cake, he's ready to go.
Before the next round, the engine has gone over completely. The diver, who goes under the car to drop the pan, is Dave Fletcher. He's an Englishman who posed as an automotive journalist just to get close enough to Coyle to talk him into a job.
Well, I used to think that I knew a lot about these cars when I worked in England, but meeting Austin and working with him taught me a lot more about it, and about looking for things in the motor. I do mostly the bottom end, the crankshaft and conrods and stuff, and he taught me what to look for and what's bad and what's good, and throughout everything to do with the motor. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't be here, and I don't think that the opportunities would have come along if it hadn't been for Austin.
The speedy Tim Finley specializes on the cylinder head, and at 24 years of age is one of the youngest people in the sport with such an important responsibility.
He's probably the hardest person to get along with I've had working for me in my whole damn life. But he's also one of the smartest and most aggressive too, so it's a challenge to keep everything peaceful all the time, but he seems to have a lot of respect for my opinion, and that kind of keeps everything going okay. But he's probably the one that is the most offended by us deciding where we're going to eat, and him not getting his choice.
Working with him's interesting because there's a certain way to do it, and it's his way. And if you become accustomed to that routine, it goes a lot faster. I mean, I found it easier for myself. And just working fast, I try and, just keep a pace for myself in qualifying, so then when we get to race day, there isn't a problem with everybody's you kind of get a click going. There's a sequence for everything. One thing, then the next, and if you get in your sequence, you can really make some time. We can usually beat most of these cars at the starting line in the staging. In the event that there's no major problems, I mean, we'd change 8 pistons and 8 exhaust valves and set the clutch in a matter of 35 minutes.
Getting in line early is worth it to Austin because it gives him a psychological advantage for the next race.
A lot of pressure, and so is Kurt, his son and chief mechanic. That's why he chooses a spark plug he can count on, Autolite. You see, the pressure in a high-powered engine like this is enough to melt down the tips of ordinary plugs, but Autolites are tough enough to take the heat of Warren's engine. Are they special racing plugs? No, they're the same kind you use in your car. But don't take it from Warren Johnson. Take it from Kurt, his mechanic. Autolite.
Their goals is to duplicate their good runs consistently. The conditions for any 2 races, even just hours apart, are never the same. So communication is important at both ends of the track.
Well, through a series of hand signals, mostly what I try to tell him is, how much, if any, I can observe tire spin on the dry leaf. And sometimes I'm watching for a case where the engine may be trying to drop cylinders, where when you hit the throttle, it's only running on 6 or 7 cylinders for a few moments, and then, you know, we'll pick up the others. And when I observe this, why there's a mixture control in the car that he can vary to sometimes, you know, help the problem along.